Hey everyone, it is Friday, January 8th, 2021, and this is Pat Lopez again, NPC Science Department Chair, and I'm very happy to have my colleague Shannon Motter with us today. Hey Shannon.
Hi.
Shannon's the Director of Library Services, information superhero. She's even better than giving you information. She tells you how to find the information, which I think is super awesome. But Shannon, the reason I wanted to make a video with you today is because I know you have two young kids.
Mhm.
And just this Wednesday, we were made aware that we're all eligible as NPC employees to receive the vaccine. We're in the 1B group. And
Mhm.
that puts a lot of us in a position to receive the vaccine if it's
Mhm.
available, if quantities are available, et cetera. But uh, kids under 16 can't receive the vaccine.
Right.
And you know, they won't be like, I have a 16-year-old, but she's not in a group that's, you know, eligible to receive the vaccine just yet.
Right.
But even uh, you know, even when we get to that group, your kids, you know, won't have that vaccine available. And
Right.
what's really frustrating is that we don't know, we know that clinical trials are ongoing of vaccines for children, but it's going to be several months before we find out
Mhm.
their efficacy and safety and things like that in children. So
Right.
for the time being, it's considered unsafe to vaccinate those kids. And, you know, I think one of the most heartrending things I heard this week is one of our other colleagues saying,
Mhm.
you know, how do I, it feels weird for me to get a vaccine that my kids are not eligible for,
Right.
right?
Right. My children are 1 and 4, and so they're very little, and they stay home the whole time. My in-laws are watching them. My parents are coming. They're from My in-laws are from Arkansas. My parents from Pennsylvania. They're coming to Arizona specifically to watch my children, which is the safest thing I can do for my children. The next safest thing I can do is to get vaccinated myself, because that will protect them hopefully, and in my family members who are all mid 60s and above. So I, if I go on campus and I contract COVID, that's harmful. It's not just about me, it's about my kids, and it's about my family that are in not just the upper age range, but they also have health problems, heart disease, and some other illnesses that make them at high risk. So the best I can do for all of them is to be vaccinated myself.
Right.
I've actually gone online to sign up for the vaccine,
That's awesome.
to be registered for that. I haven't found a time slot yet, but as soon as I do, I'm going to go. I do feel a little bit guilty, um, because I do worry what happens if my kids have
Sure.
an adverse reaction to the virus.
Right.
I suppose they get an adverse reaction to the vaccine. That's possible. But usually that reaction is mild,
Right.
right? My kids get a fever when they get the vaccine.
Mhm.
You don't always get that.
Mhm.
And I know because they tend to do that, they'll probably do that with this vaccine as well. Um,
Potentially, yeah.
and I'm willing to deal with that, because that is far less than the other
The other
ramifications, right?
yeah. I
So
think what I wanted to sort of acknowledge with this video is the difficulty, you know, the sort of disconnect that you get in your head by saying,
yeah.
I have access to, you know, a therapeutic that my children don't have
Hmm.
access to. It's sort of like you're eating before you feed your own children, which
Yeah.
is not what parents are
Right, it's
supposed
hard, but at
to
the
do.
same time,
It's
it's
the
the
right.
best thing you can do for them.
And in fact,
um,
you know, when we talked in our herd immunity video, we talked about how herd immunity is acquired, you know, one vaccine at a time,
mhm.
and
Right.
herd immunity is to protect the people who cannot be vaccinated
Right.
for medical reasons, and
Right.
you know, or for really, it protects anyone who is not vaccinated.
Right.
And you know, you may be willing to vaccinate your kids, but you can't right now because the vaccine is simply not available to them.
Right.
And so you actually protect them
Right.
by getting vaccinated.
And I've used that, yeah.
The,
um
the one last thing I would, you know, just thinking about you and your responsibilities and so on and so forth, but if you are not vaccinated and you
mhm.
contract COVID, it's not just the worry of passing it on to your kids. It's that you're sick in bed and you can't do anything, and then you
Right.
cannot care for your
Right.
family members.
But it's also, you know, I have asthma, and I've had a lot of respiratory issues my whole life. So I'm worried about having COVID. I'm not worried about getting vaccinated.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure there are definitely risks involved with anything, but there's a risk getting in my car and driving. Much greater risk,
Much
honestly.
greater risk, I was gonna say.
So, I mean, I get in my car all the time, less so lately. But I have family that can't get vaccinated. And I have issues like with the flu vaccine. I'm allergic to eggs, and I'm hesitant to get the one that's made from eggs. I want to get the one that's not, and that's not always available. So having
And
gone
just to
through that,
reiterate, the two vaccines that are currently available have a completely different model, and there's no eggs involved in
right,
Pfizer
right,
and Moderna
right.
vaccine.
So I'm going to go get that vaccine. But because I've experienced that place where someone can't get a vaccine. I in those cases, myself and my family, we rely on everybody else getting them to
Sure.
protect us. So I've been there on that side of the issue. And so the people around me that are getting their vaccines, whether they have kids or not, they're doing their part to protect my kids. And I greatly appreciate that. So I'm very thankful when somebody else is willing to take that. And really all it is you just have to find a time and go there and get a shot. You know, and maybe you have a little bit of pain in your arm, and that's it. And that's not much to ask people.
Thanks, Shannon. Bye, everybody.